with the concealed carry legislation, like it's been through the previous General Assemblies and it's always failed in committee. Like, what do you think the chances are of this passing this year?
Well, I think I think the chances of concealed carry passing this year are very good. The past years we have found objections. We've tried to address all those objections, so that a lot of people agree with it. We have support from the Sheriff's Association now, and so some other law enforcement groups have either decided not to oppose it, and so we're making a lot of progress.
So how will this work? I mean, this legislation. Let's say it does work. It does end up passing. Like, could you take us through the steps to get a concealed carry?
Well, yes, the legislation isn't passed yet, so there may be some amendments to it. But as it stands now, first of all, you'd have to have a firearm owner's identification card. So that is your first entry.
And how do you get that?
You have to apply to the Illinois State Police for that. It's $10 for 10 years. They do an FBI background check on you, okay? And so after you get that, then you can go to your local sheriff and apply for a permit from the local sheriff. And the sheriff then will run a background check on you, and it's a more complete check. It's fingerprinting and costs a lot more money. It costs $100 for the permit. And so after you get that done, then you have to take a course, and you must demonstrate firearm safety, proficiency in marksmanship. You must watch a videotape on Illinois laws on what you can and cannot do, and you have to learn all the places you can and cannot carry a firearm, and so that's all part of the course.
So who would be teaching that course?
They would be instructors, and the instructors would either be the state certified instructors that we have now, or people who would go and take a special class from the Illinois State Police to teach a class.
So are there any other requirements?
Well, you have to go through the background check. You have to pass the exam. Okay, it's a written exam. It's a 100-question exam as it stands now, and you have to demonstrate marksmanship proficiency, and you have to have the right attitude. Any one of those things can prevent you from getting a permit.
How in-depth is this background check? Because, opponents of this concealed carry legislation fear that, with these permits, that people could, commit some type of crime and it'll lead to more violence. Like, how in-depth is this background check?
It's a very in-depth background check. It's a full FBI background check. All right, it requires fingerprinting, the whole thing. And so, and as far as criminals carrying firearms, they already do it. That's why we're trying to get concealed carry so the individual citizen can defend themselves and their family. So criminals don't care about the law, But this would allow qualified citizens who pass the background check, pass the written exam, pass the practical exam, to carry a concealed firearm to defend themselves and their family.
So how soon would would we see people actually getting this permit?
Well,
assuming that it does pass through the legislation, the legislative
I would
process.
say 6 months to a year at the earliest, because you have to set up all the mechanisms. The sheriff's departments have to set up their mechanisms. The state police have to keep a file of everybody who has a concealed carry permit, and so does the sheriff by his county. And so all those mechanisms have to be set up. The instructors have to be qualified. The videotapes have to be made. There's a lot of work that goes into setting this up. So it's going to take a while to do this.
So it'll take like a year to...
Yeah, 6 months to a year, I would think.
So what would be required under the sheriff? Like, what would they do? They would just issue the permit?
Well, they do the background check, and they issue the permit after it comes back from the FBI.
So is it the same throughout every county?
Yes, the law would apply to every county, right?
Okay. And what about state police? What role do they have?
Well, they maintain the list, and they also maintain the void card list. So any violation of your permit or your void card would cause you to lose the permit.
So they'll just they'll no longer be able to carry a concealed carry then?
Well, if they had a violation, the answer is no, they wouldn't.
Okay. Is there any way around that?
No.
Okay. What is the time frame for the state then? Like, the time frame for the
Well,
state?
you know, we have to find out if and when this is going to pass. But if it passes by the end of session, which is in May 31st, then 6 months to a year would be the next May 31st before it would actually probably be implemented.
So are there any costs associated with this?
Well, yes, the permit itself is $100, okay, which includes the background check. Then the class is $100, okay, so that also has to be taken care of. The permit only lasts 3 years, and then you have to requalify, and then your renewal is $75 after that, but you have to come back and qualify every 3 years.
Okay. And I also wanted to ask, since there are like several different pending legislation regarding concealed carry, there's two in the House, I believe, and then others in the Senate.
Right.
Are they all similar?
They're all very
bills?
They're all very similar.
So
bills.
they'll basically have the same
Right.
requirements that we were discussing?
The House Bill 48 and the Senate Bill, which I believe is 82, are the exact same bill. Okay, and so those are the ones that we're actually looking at.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that one of the good things about getting concealed carry is that certain groups will feel the effects of less crime immediately, and those would be women and elderly people. The crime rate drops substantially against them once the concealed carry permits are being issued.
Why is that?
Well, because women and the elderly are pretty easy to pick on by some thug, and if they have a 38 special, they're not so easy to pick on. Very simple.
As long as they know how to aim, right?
That's what the class is for.